Roger Wood here. I'm with Joanne Connolly, who is director of Voices from the Heart, voicesfromtheheart.org, based in Portsmouth. Welcome, Joanne.
Thank you, Roger. Thanks so much for having me on this, I guess, second day of April, are we now?
Yes. You've got some big events coming up, and I want to talk about them, but I want to talk first about your organization that maybe some people haven't heard about, and they should, and they will. When was Voices from the Heart founded, and did you found it?
I did. I am the founding director, and we started in 1995.
Wow.
Yeah.
That,
30 years now.
that's a long stint.
It's long.
And you look too young to have done it for 30 years. But
Well,
you've been you've been a teacher, a soloist now, of course, and director of Voices from the Heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot on the plate. That's a lot on the plate, isn't it?
Yes, but they all link together. They all complement and feed into each other. I learn from all of those different things.
Well, how did you get it going?
Well, I have a degree in classical voice and conducting, but probably I started the group in 1995. Earlier that year, I went to a workshop set by Sweet Honey in the Rock's Issei Barnwell. Are you familiar with Sweet Honey in the Rock?
No, sorry.
They've been around forever, longer than I have. 5 or 6 African American women singing music from their culture, creating community, social justice music. So I went to a workshop of Issei Barnwell in upstate New York for a week, and it changed my life. And it made me take a big left turn and make a new direction in what I was doing.
That explains part of it. How have you grown the group? How did you start as far as the number of participants that are in the chorus?
Well, I have to say the inspiration of that workshop not changed what I do, but changed my life and my passions and my interest. And it just took off from there. So I came back to Portsmouth. And part of the workshop was creating a community with African American music. And Issei is a wonderful teacher and conductor. And she had a man named George Brandon with her who told the history of all the African American music she was singing and teaching. Spirituals, gospel, African music, contemporary Black music. So when I came back, I just was so inspired. And I could tell you a lot more, but I won't have that workshop. But that passion said, I need to do this. I need to start this in Portsmouth, and I'm going to start a women's chorus. And at that time, you may remember this period in history where you actually sent letters out.
Do. Snail mail, they call it now.
Yeah. So I sent flyers to people I thought would be interested. I wrote a press release. I, did all those things, sent pictures to the press, via mail, and put posters up. And the first night, 50 women showed up to sing.
Wow.
And
That's a pretty good start.
Yeah, that's and to have a good big sound, you want a good number of people. So it felt wonderful. At the end of 2 years, we had 200 people, and that was the max we could take. And then we had a waiting list.
Still?
Not still, because of one thing that may have influenced you too, COVID.
Sure has.
So up to there, we had 200. Now we're back up to 160, but we took a hit during COVID. I taught online. I had to learn a lot of how to teach music via Zoom and all of that business.
Yeah. All women.
All women.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I have another group with mixed men and women, but Voices is all women.
Voices, yeah. What are the age ranges? I mean, who's the youngest and who's the oldest? I mean, not who, but I mean, what's the age range?
You want me to name names, I think.
No.
I know, I'm just kidding. So, youngest member is 25, And I'll just say she's a Portsmouth firefighter. And the oldest is about 85 or 86,
Hmm.
and all in between, all kinds of occupations and different lives led, which makes a great community, I think.
Yeah, um, they don't have to audition for this, right?
That's right. No auditions.
You find a place for everyone.
Yeah, because my belief is everyone can sing and they should.
Hmm. Let's talk about the kind of music. Well, by the way, I want to mention that I've seen you produce CDs and you
Yes.
stream. I'm sure.
Yes, you can get them on Bandcamp. And we do have physical CDs, actually, for
Yeah.
those who still own CD players. So,
Well, a lot of us still do,
yeah,
fortunately.
yes,
Well, you can go to your website, right? Voicesfromtheheart.org.
yes. And you can get the CDs there. You can listen to all the tunes. You can buy single tunes or the whole CD. I think we have 7 CDs now.
Wow. Are the songs, or I've listened to some, beautiful. Are they
Thank you.
original?
Um, what I what we've done, and because of the workshop I took with Issei Barnwell, was I became interested in music that I've always been, but my degree was in classical music. So I wanted to do something other than classical music, and what I think of as world choral folk music. And we've done a lot of South African music, and we've done Bulgarian music, Croatian music, Irish music, but a lot of music that a lot of it doesn't have composers because it's from the people and is linked to their culture and heritage.
Now you have to actually, I'll say, train or direct people to sing a wide variety of songs, right?
Yes, yes, yep. And that's very interesting. And our last trip, we're about to go to Scotland in June.
Right.
Our last trip was South Africa. They have 11 official languages in South Africa. So you can imagine how many other languages. And the national anthem has 4 of those languages in them. And we learned that. We've learned a lot of Zulu or Xhosa with a click songs, but it had 4 of those main languages in the national anthem.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
But you don't bring the whole chorus with you. What, 160 people, right?
No, but I think our first 4, I'm just looking at those 4 places we went. For the first 3, anyone who wants to go can go, and they sign up. So the first 3 trips abroad, we had 120 women on each of those trips
Oh.
to Ireland, Croatia, and Cuba.
Hmm.
Somehow that number worked for the, who wanted to go. And then in South Africa, we went for 3 weeks, so it was longer commitment.
I'll have more conversation on the interview with Joanne Connolly, music director of Voices from the Heart, based in Portsmouth. The opening interview music was Another Train from their CD, Voices from the Heart Reach Across Our Borders. How was Cuba, by the way?
What amazed me, I knew I knew this, but it's closer to us geographically than Puerto Rico, which is part of our country, right?
Hmm.
Um, so it was so interesting and amazing to go there. One of the most important things that happened, I think, was that we sang with the National Cuban Choir. We sang with them in June when we went on the trip. In September of that year, that national choir flew to Portsmouth, stayed in our homes, and we did a concert with them, and we used South Church. So just making those connections, and it's fabulous. And for each of these trips, we also do a humanitarian gift giving somewhere in the country.
Hmm.
Yeah. The Cubans were so welcoming, even though we still have an embargo on them. The people did not hold us responsible for that. Um, they welcomed us with open arms.
Was it a challenge getting in even?
Oh, yeah. You have to get an artistic license from our country. They want us to come. But through the Treasury, the American Treasury, you have to get a special license. Um, and then you can go directly. Some people go indirectly, illegally. You can go to Canada probably and go. But we wanted to do everything above board. So we got the artistic license. I think the first time we applied, we were turned down. We kept working on it. We got the license. It was all these trips, trips of a lifetime. Change. You know, we think we're helping, but they're changing us. You know,
Hmm.
they're broadening us to compassion and connection, and it's beautiful. Havana is like, wow.
From my perspective, I'm sad that this embargo exists. That
Oh,
things aren't freer between the two countries.
of course.
From my perspective,
And my perspective too. Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if that'll ever change.
Well, it was getting worked on while Obama was president, but not now, I think.
Hmm. On the back burner, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about traveling to the other countries? Any challenges there? Logistical, whatever.
Yeah. They're all just so big in their own way. I mean, going to South Africa was a dream of a lifetime, especially because I've been teaching and singing those songs, you know, for almost 20 years before we went. So connecting with those people, we would sing songs like I'm a Volo Volo in concert, but then we would sing them in a restaurant or in a marketplace. And we would sing them, and all of, like, the kitchen staff would run out because we're singing the songs, and they would dance and sing with us because we learned also the dances. Um, we sang for Desmond Tutu while we were there. So
Wow.
just trips of a lifetime. Logistically, I have amazing, amazing women who step up because the music is so important and the connections, and they do all the groundwork to get these trips going. Work so hard.
When you go to a different country, do you do any songs that represent that country?
Oh yeah. And that's a big part of what I do is I try and research the song that I think will touch them in a deep way. So I'm a Volo Volo in South Africa, also Tula Sizwe, Senze Nina, their national anthem, all of that. Um, and and I've seen it work the other way. When the National Choir of Cuba came to us, they're standing in the back of South Church, ready to process and sing. And what did they sing first? To reach out to us. What would be the iconic American song? Can you think of any that would make everybody weep?
Um,
It's not a test, though, Roger.
God Bless America?
No. But that's a good guess.
Okay.
Shenandoah.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So and I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to name that, but if they heard a country that we have an embargo against, care enough to learn something like that and sing it, a soprano in the back sang it, and then she walked forward, not a dry eye. Truly, it was, and with a little bit of Cuban accent, made it even more beautiful. And then they did a whole, mostly program of Cuban music. So that's what I try and do, like get some iconic ways to connect, but then sing what I consider American music.
Do you record everything that you do live?
We record at every concert. Yeah.
So that's another technical challenge, I'll say. Not obstacle, but logistical situation.
Yeah. And we always, we hire professionals who know how to do that, which is great. Yeah. We don't take charge of that.
And a lot of them wind up on CD, don't they?
Yes. And then again, the women in my group just step up. They make a committee. I mean, we have to listen to all the music, pick the ones that will best work on a CD, and also then get the copyright in order to be on a CD. So they do all of that work. And then we send it off to get processed and made into CDs and all that.
I'm glad you have all those people to do all this so you can concentrate on the music, Joanne.
Exactly. Exactly. And all of these people, I'm just going to mention a few of them because they have been working so hard. Karen Plant, Claudia Raven, Joe Coles, Ann Bliss, Susan Hubbard, Deb Erickson Irons, and a host, as you can imagine, more people, but who've been working especially on this trip and on this night of music that we're about to do.
Familiar names around here.
Yes. Yeah. People say, "Oh, you have Ann Bliss? Good for you."
Yeah, I mean, public radio, community radio, for one.
Right, right.
Do they stay on board with you for a length of time?
Yes. They're going to make me cry, but like our last treasurer, I'm going to say she did that job for at least 15 years.
Hmm.
Not just singing, but people
Working on the system, right?
Yeah, I have a nonprofit arm, so they are officers within that. But then there are committees of all kinds that, they create in order to support what we're doing.
Let's talk about Scotland, because you're raising money to go there.
Yes, yes. And our first goal was to raise $25,000 to give to something called Systema Scotland and Big Noise. And what they do is create music programs for underserved communities in Scotland, in different cities. And they create orchestras and bands with children, put instruments in their hands, have choruses with adults. It just looks so great. We've been communicating with them. We set a goal of how much we would raise and bring to them. And my group has done amazing work to raise that money. And now we're raising money for scholarships for people to go from my group.
So that I understand, you're not raising money for the actual work, the travel, or you're raising money for fundraising? I mean, you're raising money for humanitarian purposes, or both?
Both. We're doing both. Yes. Yes. So when you go as a singer, you can apply for, like, I need a quarter scholarship or I need a half scholarship. And then they set a goal as how to raise that money.
As a nonprofit, and of course I've talked to a lot of people in nonprofits, it's always a challenge staying afloat. How do you do financially as a group?
We do very well because each concert, all of that money goes to the nonprofit. And we do 2 concerts in the fall and 2 in the spring. And the church can hold up to 500 people. So if we can sell out both of those, there are costs. There are a lot of costs. We have to pay rent for the church. We hire musicians, as you said, the recording, a lot of costs. But we can still put money into our coffers to try and make money to go on a trip. Or we give $1,000 each year to a nonprofit in our area too. So.
What a commitment!
They're busy. I'm busy.
I can tell. So I think you can tell from talking to me that I love music.
Yeah. What do you love, Roger?
Actually, I'm into alternative.
Oh, what kind of alternative rock?
Rock, yep.
Okay.
Interesting groups. Not all of it, but some of it.
Yeah.
Groups
Who's your
like
favorite?
the War on Drugs, I really love their music. And The Cure is very good sometimes.
Okay.
That's me.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I'm
There's
going to get
music.
into yours too because I've been listening.
Yeah. 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 There's music for everybody, in all tastes. So,
Joanne, do you have anything to add to this? Because I want to do this good justice.
thank you, Roger. Just that I would say my singers have caught, as I did, the passion about international music and the community that we make together in Portsmouth. Each rehearsal is the most important thing, connecting and singing, but then they are all passionate about whatever we're doing, and they put everything they've got into it. And as some musicians, sometimes Ken Allen comes and plays with us, and he'll always say, "There's a lot of love in this room." It always touches me. So I think the community, the connections, and the music are all important, equally important.
Joanne Connolly is director of Voices from the Heart, musical chorus based in Portsmouth. The opening to this interview segment was the song Deep River from their CD, Deep River. I'm Roger Wood.